Today I'm at Platt's Wood, a fantastic project here in the High Peak district of Derbyshire. I'm meeting Stuart Alexander, the Group Chief Executive of GemCap, and it's his passion project. It's family-owned land, it's community-based, planting, wild meadows. It's such a beautiful space. I'm so excited to be here. So we're here somewhere really special to you, Stuart, Platt's Wood. Do you want to talk to me about the history?
Well, we're sitting literally by the stream that my mother played in as a child with her sister, Constance Platt and Helen Platt. So Platt's Wood is synonymous with my mother's side of the family. My grandfather, Frank Platt, a bit of a legend in this area. He was the JP between the war, and he basically owned all the land, as far as you can see. We decided that it would be good to create a woodland for the benefit of the village. And I mean, it's great to be here today because we're on it's not raining, which is quite good. It's not raining here in Derbyshire. We're in the middle of the High Peak. The Peak District is famous for its waterfall. The waterfalls here is quite something, to say the least. We're wearing wellies because it's wet underfoot. But it's just a lovely, nice location. It started 2011 when my brother and we said, what are we going to do with this land? And we thought, well, we want to create a sustainable, environmentally negative impact proposition. And Platt's Wood was the idea. And in the October 2011, we had over 100 people turn up to plant the trees. Not all the trees you can see, because clearly some of them are more mature than 11 years old, but a lot at the top there. We planted over 3,000 trees on that day. It was a great sort of community idea, and we took that from that one day. We thought, right, how do we combine that environmental aspect of rewilding, effectively, a piece of land which had been left to do nothing. We had horses in here.
Yeah.
There'd been a lot of herbicide and pesticides put on the ground. So we wanted to change that and reverse that. And so that environmental side, and then creating the social engagement and making a community project, was on that very first day, seeing 100 people from the village, which is just here, getting them to come and contribute and feeling it's part of them. Before it was closed access, now it's open access. And even today we've seen dog walkers, we've seen people looking at butterflies, counting butterflies. Yeah. So we see a lot of people walking, using it. And where we're sitting now, literally just here, it's a bit overgrown at the moment, a bit grass has grown, but I've been down here and I've seen kids just sitting here, just chewing,
sort of playing,
chewing away. But kids, often parents sitting on here. There's a stream here, and the kids are paddling away. It's lovely to see that as a community property, and it's right in the middle of the village. Yeah, and that's the key thing. And this is not some remote area where you've got to get in your car and drive to. You can literally walk across the road into this piece of land and enjoy it as it is. We've planted, the trees. We've created wildflower meadows. We've created wet wildflower meadows. Not as successful as we'd hoped, because it takes quite a few years. But in the 13 years this has been established, we've seen a massive change, huge change, and that positive impact, not just in the species of birds. And they've gone quiet now. I know they're starting again, but the birds are there. We see deer wandering through here, which, to be fair, is a bit bad for trees, but we do see deer. We see a lot of other mammals. We see a lot of voles. We have moles as well, of course. But the bird life, the birds going again. It's great to see that, and you wouldn't have heard that 15 years ago. So, and having that as part of the community and seeing kids enjoying it and learning about it, bringing the school trips into here, learning about the different plant vegetation. I've taught you a few things this morning already.
You have indeed. Despite being a country boy. Yeah.
Yeah. What is a vetch? What is yellow rattle? All these different things, which is really important to creating a wildlife reserve, to speak. And it doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't take a lot of money. It just takes a lot of passion and drive.
And that shines out, your passion and drive. It's a very special place to you. How big is Platt's Wood?
Well, Platt's Wood sits on about 7.5 acres. we're hoping to extend in the next few years and take a bit more land either side. Of that 7.5 acres, probably 4.5, 5 acres is walkable. The rest is the stream or the boggy area. So people can get there if they want to, but we deliberately cut tracks in through the grass and through the wood, so people are led that way. But it's enough, just for people to go dog walk. And
I think the thing that surprised me is how mature so much of it looks. You planted 13, 15 years ago, and so much of what we walked through, and it now looks like a mature woodland, which is just stunning.
It is. It staggers me every time I come here, and I suddenly realise I haven't been here for quite some time. And some of the trees are now that big. I mean, in fact, we're having to thin out some of the trees, and it is staggering. The canopies changed. Actually, the water situation has changed. So it used to be very, very boggy, to the point you really, even in the middle of summer, you'd have to have wellies. So today you can walk, although there's still a couple of bad patches, but you can walk through underneath the canopy, and it's drained, it's dried the grass, the ground out.
So the plantings really helped there.
The plantings helped, but it's not just about the grasses, the vegetation. It's returning the wildlife. So there's no pesticides, no herbicides used, despite the fact you want to get rid of some of the things like the invasive buttercup. But you find other plants to try and suppress those. So yellow rattle, you need to bring that in to help suppress the other grasses. So you find natural ways of controlling the planting here. So it establishes a more diverse landscape for plants and animals, for other plants and animals.
Great.
My name's Tony. I'm the caretaker of Platt's Wood. I was invited to get involved in this project by bumping into one of the family in a pub. The first project really that we did was plant 1,400 trees. So the bulk of my time here is looking after those, as well as the meadow area here, trying to get wildflowers established. And one of the methods used for the wildflower establishment is what they call green hay, where you bring seeded plant material from another site over to here, spread it, and as it matures and the seed drops, hopefully it gets established. It's worked fairly well at the top where you can see some of the oxeye daisies. Other stuff I'm doing is bird boxes. We put in 2 big tawny owl boxes. Tawny owls are still around. About 4 or 5 years ago, we had 2 youngsters making the most awful din. I thought, well, what on earth is that creature? So went and found them. But it's all fun. It's good. People around here, the village, they appreciate such a site and the peace and quiet that it offers.
It's really evident how passionate you are about this, and I think it's a really interesting time. We know that corporately, as well as personally, lots of people are thinking about the environment. So talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on the environment, both for you but also for GemCap.
One of the things that I've often considered when we look at GemCap as a business and the values that we have, and we look at what's become very evident in recent times, where companies are looking at the E, the S, and the G. The G is very much a governance issue. The E is environmental, the S is the social aspect. And then in silos. Now, governance, that should be a silo, because that's really important, how you run the company and the rights and the fiduciary obligations, etc., that you have within that. But why should the E and the S be separate? Why should you put them into silos? They just should be together. And I know, we do a lot of stuff with the environment. So we do a lot of litter picking. We do things which are helping the environment by that sort of thing. But Platt's Wood actually does the community, brings the community into it. And then again, we do a lot of community stuff. And even, Conor Ho, who runs the Dublin operation, he has done a huge amount of work with his local football team, Drogheda Football. And he's been the chairman, stepped down last year. He's done a great job and recently got an award for that. But Platt's Wood brings the E and the S together in one area, in one centre. This is it. Because we've got the rewilding, we've got the contribution to the environment, by this. And we just standing here before, we saw a beautiful beetle. We just saw a small orchid there. But we've also seen people walking their dogs, and we've seen people counting butterflies. And we know the school children come through here on a regular basis, both the wee ones, but also teenagers. And they sit here, and they sit on the benches, and they enjoy it, and they take in what's going on. So it's good for their mental health, their social health, in the sense that they're integrating with the land, but they're also integrating with each other. They're sitting down having conversations. And so I think that's great. And that really encompasses our values as a business. We want to bring all those elements together. We want to bring the environment to the community. And I think Blackwood does that.
I think another thing that really strikes me is, you and I both have a financial services background, still involved very much in it. And we hear a lot about greenwashing. We hear a lot about carbon offset. Big companies, they kind of play the game. And I think what really strikes me here is how much this does mean to you, and how much it really is a part of your, not just personal backstory, but also your company backstory.
Yeah, I mean, the only greenwashing we do here is actually washing your green wellies in the stream.
Yeah,
that's the only greenwashing. This is true. This is a real thing. These trees exist. We planted. I actually can't remember which one I planted, but I planted about 100 of the damn things. Yeah. And we haven't. It's amazing. We've chosen a place here because actually there aren't any trees here deliberately, because we created this little glade, because otherwise we'd be on a canopy and we'd be able to see each other. Yeah. But the rest is a thick woodland which is growing very, very, very quickly. So we can evidence that we're doing that. And yes, there are companies who do plant trees, and I've seen that in Dublin and in Ireland and here in the UK. And there's others who go and buy carbon offset. And I'm going, really? Show me the evidence. Show me what you've done. What does that carbon offset do?
How does it contribute?
How does it contribute? Exactly. And it's the same when if I fly somewhere, we plant a tree. Yeah. We do that. Equally, if I pay an extra £1 on Ryanair to go to Dublin, I can pay £1 for carbon offset.
Yeah.
But do I? I'd rather go spend £1 on getting a little twig and stick it in the ground over here.
Something really tangible that benefits so many people.
I love the fact, I'm not a tree hugger, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I can name all the trees, the varieties, but it doesn't mean that I'm so wedded to it. It's what I mean is I feel it does the community really, really good. And I think GemCat as a business has always had those values about wanting to be part of something, not just here to be in financial services, but also to be part of a community.
Yeah, we touched a bit about biodiversity because they're all native trees, aren't they? They're all varietals, deciduous from this region.
That's right. Well, you've got mountain ash, you've got the willows, you've got the oak trees. You've got apple trees, we've got the local Derbyshire trees here, we've got 5 varieties of native Derbyshire apple trees, and we're extending that part of the orchard bit down further down, probably going to do some pear trees, because we're losing trees. We're losing trees, not just trees, we're losing orchards. Yeah. And so I thought it was nice. And are we going to collect those trees? No, we want children to collect the trees, to collect the apples and the pears off the trees. But biodiversity is really, really important. Having native trees, I mean, we could have planted conifers here, had a plantation, and chopped the trees down in probably another 5 years and made a bit of money out of it.
Yeah.
But no, that again, if you go into a conifer forest, life is dead.
There is no, I get it.
Whereas here, underneath everything, just around us now, I can see 20 different varieties of plants underneath the tree. So we're encouraging wildlife through that.
Yeah, and as we've walked around today, which has been really special actually, we've seen owl boxes, we've seen bat boxes, we've seen butterflies. You've talked about the mammals that you see. I mean, it really is a staggeringly beautiful space.
We got there's several very, very mature oak trees there, probably 200-300 years old. So they're now registered with Natural England as trees of ancient trees. So that's great. So they can get chopped. We've got very mature trees on the boundaries of the woodland, and that's really important because we've probably all heard the thing. There's probably 400 animals or insects live on an oak tree. And other animals benefit, be it mammals or birds. We've been walking around today, and the wildlife and the bird life has been quite something, and that's because of the trees. They wouldn't be here otherwise.
Yeah. So Platt's Wood, it's a long-term project. Yep. You're 13, 15 years in. You see the trees are maturing. What does the future hold?
Well, there's so much ongoing. I mean, we're standing here in the wildflower meadow, but it doesn't really look like a wildflower meadow. It's lots of buttercups. But if you look down, there's yellow rattle, which is going to be there and suppresses the grass and allows the wildflowers to come up. But that's 5 years in the making. We planted this probably 3 years ago, and we're yet to really see. We see a few daisies popping up, which is nice, but they're bullies and they'll be everywhere in a couple of years. So it's constantly maturing. And we've then had the likes of the hedge here, and that was planted about 5-6 years ago. And we wouldn't have done that without the contribution of people actually planting it, because we just had a few trees. And we've been very, very lucky because Caroline Holmes, who's my niece, she's been instrumental in developing this. She did a forestry degree, and we gave this as a project to her for her degree, which is 14 years ago now. And the rewards are here to be seen from those early days. I mean, she's continued to work and support the project, and she now works as a sustainability manager over at Sykes Cottages, which is over in Cheshire. And her team and members of Sykes Cottages come over here on days and help planting and maintaining the woodland, along with Tony, who we met earlier on, Tony Moss. You can't do these projects on your own. I couldn't do it on my own. I live 300 miles away. Yeah. So we need people from the community, from people like Sykes Cottages, people like Caroline Holmes and Carrie, as we call her, to continue to maintain the woodland as it is, because it takes a lot of effort.
So, just to sum up, I mean, I've so enjoyed my day here. I mean, it's such a beautiful project here in the High Peaks. I mean, we all know how beautiful Derbyshire is. We're hearing pheasants in the background. We've just had the church bells. We know the community are very, very involved. Yeah. I commend you for everything you've done here.
Thank
and
you.
Long may the success continue and it continue to flourish and grow.
Well, I hope you come back in maybe 5 years' time and you see a bit more woodland that way and a bit more woodland that way and wildflowers everywhere. Yeah. And we'll see. But thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure.